everyone, how's it going? This is Marisa, and this is the Dianetics Show, where we talk about all of the scammers, schemers, and hustlers of the ex-Scientology community. You're going to learn so much from this. No, I'm just joking. It's me. I haven't done a video in quite some time. This is going to be it's not going to be too long, I should say. It shouldn't be too long because it's about John, Atack, and Mike Rinder, and there's really not much length to anything that has to do with either of those guys, intellectually or physically. Not that I would know physically, but I'm talking intellectually. This is not going to be a lengthy video. People were asking me my thoughts of what I thought of the Mike Rinder John Atack show. And first of all, let me start off by saying, and I'm going to send this to John Atack. Any dipshit that refers to himself as an expert Scientologist because you were a former Scientologist, you are a dipshit. And John Atack, you and Chris Shelton are the only two people that refer to yourselves as expert Scientologist. This is something I would like one of them to answer my question, which they won't because they think I'm a stereotypical and dumb woman. That's how they think. That's how John Atack is stuck in like 1849. Mike Rinder, not too much more improvement, maybe 1879, but they think that women that like we're young, stupid, and we're here to service them. That I know that's what they think because I've been watching them for over 20 years. I guess my question is to Mr. Atack, what is your definition of an expert Scientologist? Because I was born in 1978 and I was born in Scientology. You know how Miriam Frances says she was born in Scientology, literally from her mother's womb. And I sometimes joke and say, hey, I was a Scientologist before I was even born. So technically, Mr. Atack, me and Miriam are more of an expert. We are more experts in the field of Scientology than you are. So what is your definition of an expert Scientologist? And Chris Shelton, I would like to ask you as well, because you did not do your first course until you were 18 years old. What is your definition of an expert Scientologist? I think that is done out of insecurity, and both of you have major inferiority complexes, and so you have to label yourselves as expert Scientologists instead of realizing that you voluntarily joined a cult because you were gullible at the time or whatever it was. You were just looking for something and you got duped. Instead of just saying, I got duped, you want to say, I'm an expert. But no one's fallen for that bullshit, man. No one's fallen for that bullshit. What do I think about the John Atack Mike Rinder video? Like I said in my community post, I don't. Which means I don't think about them. I don't think about Mike Rinder. I don't think of John Atack as experts or proficient voices of anything. Nothing at all. And neither should any of you. And I know a lot of, as Americans, we tend to hear people with English accents and think, oh, they're so much smarter than us. They have an English accent. Listen to John Atack speak sometime. Literally, listen to him talk and take away his British accent. I have had better conversations with homeless dogs in the dog park where I go. I go jogging every night. There's like stray dogs and stray cats. And I honestly have had more intellectual conversations with stray dogs and stray cats than John Atack. I don't know what the fascination is with John Atack. Yes, he wrote a great book. I do give him credit. His book was was decent, it was all right. That's if you're into the history of L. Ron Hubbard and what happened. Now, this is what's going on here. There's a problem, and John Atack and Mike Rinder seem to not understand this. There's a problem with Miriam Francis and what has happened, and she is like ripping Mike Rinder to shreds and proving what a shady piece of shit he is. And instead of Mike Rinder saying, how can I resolve this? Maybe I should talk to the second gens and do a video with the second gens. No, Mike Rinder didn't do that. You know what he did? He says, I'm gonna do a video with John Atack, a man that nobody frickin' knows except for people that have been following Tony Ortega for 30 years. I'm gonna do a video with John Atack, and everyone's gonna miraculously think I'm just a savant and an intellect like John Atack. But there's only one problem with that, Mike Rinder and Mr. Atack, and I hate to burst your bubbles. Neither of you are worldwide known. John Atack, you are not known as a worldwide savant. You are not known as a worldwide man who has saved people from cults. And you have repeatedly said in your interview with Mike Rinder, you're like, I have saved hundreds of people. I have helped hundreds and hundreds of people. No, you haven't, dude. You haven't. Okay? That is unequivocally false, what you are saying. I know who you have helped. You've helped people like my mother, and so has Mike Rinder. You all are talking about the years from 2000 to like 2010, and you're talking about people who were declared from Scientology like my mother, which there was a big exodus back in that era. People that were declared like my mother. And what you did was, instead of helping them escape Scientology, you further ingrained people like my mother, staying involved with Scientology the way L. Ron Hubbard intended it to be, which is called Keep Scientology Working, KSW. That's what both of you have done. So technically, yes, both of you have saved hundreds of people to keep Scientology working. Both of you need to be honest about what you're doing, because you are deceiving the public by acting like you are helping people leave Scientology for good and like eradicating Scientology from their memories and helping them escape Scientology. Neither of you are doing that at all, and you never have done that. Now, as far as the dynamic duo bullshit masterpiece that you guys did the other day, I there's not much to say. It's like, hey man, same shit, different day. These two have been doing this bullshit for the longest time. John Atack, you're not this like master guru like you think that you are, okay? And what people need to do, John Atack is a former cult deprogrammer. Do you know what a deprogrammer is? You people that are invested in the anti-cult activist scene, look at cult deprogrammers. John Atack did that for a solid 20 years. A cult deprogrammer is the equivalent of a gay conversion therapist. And John, you say that you did all of this for free. No, you didn't. If you did this for free, why would you have a foundation called the Open Minds Foundation? What is the Open Minds Foundation? Those of you that are researching about John Atack, look into the Open Minds Foundation. And Mr. Atack, you have a foundation and you are asking for money. You are not helping people for free. Cut the bullshit. Cut the L. Ron Hubbard style, trying to smooth your way out of things. Because us people that are a little bit more in tune with things than the two of you are, we don't fall for your bullshit. And you guys think that because you're older than us, you know everything. First of all, why would Mike Rinder send Miriam or why would he send the rabbit an archaic style letter from an attorney using an insult with like Benjamin Franklin? Are you kidding me? Atack and Rinder. Atack, you are joining yourself in with Rinder because you want to be a part of the Aftermath Foundation. And you're so out of tune because you live your life like a vampire, and I'll get more on this in my next video. You're so out of touch, man. You're very out of touch. Why would you defend Mike Rinder when he has someone in America that's referring to the rabbit who is a Hispanic, I don't even want to say Hispanic. I say Hispanic for people in the UK because they don't know any better, but why would you refer to a Latina, a Latin American woman like the rabbit, and Mike Rinder's lawyer from 40 years ago refers to her as like a flea and uses Benjamin Franklin as a quote? And John Atack, you're supporting that. I think Mike Rinder and John Atack need to sort of conglomerate together and realize that we're not living in the 1970s anymore. And it's hard for me to realize because, I grew up in the 80s, I grew up in the 90s, and it's time for me to realize because I have a 26-year-old and I have to think to myself, hey, it's not like 2002 anymore. You babosos need to fucking realize what's going on and get with the times and learn how to communicate with people like Miriam and people that grew up in Scientology instead of thinking that they are adults in children's bodies. Both of you guys. I mean, that video I saw with you two, that was just the biggest waste of brain power and mind oxygen I have. Chingon. I don't know what I'd rather watch. Like I said, I'd rather watch C-SPAN. I would rather watch Beavis and Butthead. I'd rather watch Rennie and Stimp. I'd rather watch just the people in my town that film homeless people and reality and what's going on. I would rather watch that than watch John Atack and Mike Rinder blow smoke up each other's asses and tell a bunch of lies that they think that the general public is going to embrace. That's all I can say.